So just another quick one. Um, we've had the first anniversary of the terrible attack on democracy that occurred on the 6th of January 2020 when the insurrectionist mob descended on Capitol Hill, the Capitol building, and like a day that will live in infamy, according to the reports I've seen, right up there with Pearl Harbor and September 11th. Just a naked attack on democracy, you know. Um, how will we get past it? How will we move on? As I've said previously, if you're at the stage that I'm at where mainstream news is essentially just light entertainment at this point, you start to find this stuff unintentionally hilarious. Now, you know, here in Ireland, like we had a very po-faced report on 6-1 News with that baldy-headed lad whose name I can never remember, but he goes like this, Donald Trump, I can't think of his name, but he's such a goober. And then I think Prime Time or something did a piece about it as well, you know. And Sky News were just this morning, they were just, like I said, unintentionally hilarious. All the Democrat senators in having a roll call for the fallen, you know. Now let's be clear about something. The police officers that died that day were due to medical emergencies that weren't assaulted or killed by any mob of people, even though they tried to portray that earlier until it became untenable last year. And the likes of CNN, I can't remember if they even retracted, even New York Times retracted what they'd said. The only person that was killed that day was Ashley Babbit, who was had been a Marine who was honourably discharged, and she was shot by a Capitol Hill police officer, and unarmed, and in the process of being arrested apparently. She was white, and the officer involved in the shooting was black. But this one somehow isn't being race baited as some sort of terrible racist murder by the police department. Anyway, so yeah, a big pile of infantile nonsense at this point, but rather alarming the way you can see in real time that the powers that be are trying to brand this as a thing now and trying to make sure that it keeps traction. I mean, this is the first anniversary. I presume we're going to be subjected to many more anniversaries, and it's so blindingly obvious. The purpose of it is to establish a narrative that any right-leaning people are supporters of insurrection, white supremacy, whatever, you know, whatever snarl, you know, description you want to put on it there. It's like a combination of being childish and silly and quite distressingly sinister. But this is where we're at, and this is what we're dealing with. This is what we're stuck with. So yeah, the nonsense that is that we're expected to swallow about what was essentially a 2-hour act of vandalism that resulted in the killing of an unarmed person by possibly an overzealous police officer, possibly, or maybe, or I don't know the full circumstances. Maybe it was quite a justified shooting. I don't know. And I suppose there's quite a lot else that could be said about it in terms of the Capitol Hill police officers who have committed suicide, since that's been portrayed as that they were sort of traumatized by the Pearl Harbor like events of the day, that they couldn't deal with the trauma and committed suicide. It's a bit of a stretch, but anyway. And the militarization of Washington in the days afterwards, very, very alarming to see. And there's a few other little details that could be subject of quite a lot of discussion. The fact that 100 odd punters that were arrested the day or two after that have been held without trial ever since. It's so strange to me and alarming. You know, maybe they're on nut bars, maybe there certainly was a few lunatics on site. That there's no question of that. But apparently in America you have a constitutional right to a speedy trial. Anyway, and the only other thing, I suppose the point I just wanted to make about this silliness that we're getting our noses rubbed in is there's such an arrogance in mainstream media now that they can show anything they want and tell you this is what it is. They lovingly show the little bit of stock footage of, there's a few very famous things of some Star Spangled Banner types festooned in the flag and bearded and shouting, roaring at cops there. But they also show the CCTV footage of people just calmly milling about the public areas of Capitol Hill where all the tourists go. And this is being portrayed to us as an insurrection. The sitting president at the time apparently tried to carry out an insurrection by an unarmed group that achieved nothing. Anyway, you could keep repeating these points over and over again. That narrative won't get any traction because we're going to be bombarded with the utter silliness of the mainstream legacy. Hopefully one day we'll just shuffle off this mortal coil and die immediately. Probably not. So anyway, yeah, it's time to get on with some real work today anyway. I have to just quickly say that there's some top that I picked up in Belfast is really warm and cosy and I'm delighted with it. So yeah, I might stick an old give some classic up in the information card there. Just someone might listen to it. Anyway, thanks for listening.